In Warhammer 40k, there's a group of people with limitless power that answer to no one. They are sworn to expunge demonic and Xenos threats from the fringes of Imperial space and purify corruption that dwells within. The Holy Inquisition is shrouded in secrecy, empowered to act in the Emperor's name and interpret his will as they see fit. Inquisitors have the power to set wars into motion, destabilize governments, and even the influence to eradicate entire worlds by a simple command. First, let's start from the beginning. The birth of the Inquisition dates back to when the Emperor was alive, and its foundation was laid by the Emperor's right-hand man, Malcador the Sigillite, and has evolved into the secret organization it is today. Now here is an important part to remember. The Inquisition is one of the most powerful forces in the Imperium, but the Inquisition is not some rigid, unified organization. Think of it more like a bunch of independent, secret agent masterminds that command an elite force of operatives, and they shape or defend the Imperium in a manner that lines up with their own beliefs. These beliefs can be wildly different and cause a lot of problems. More about that later. Now there is some coordination between Inquisitors called Ordos that most are a part of. Think of these as sub-factions that deal with specialized threats. The three largest Ordos are called the Ordos Majoris, which include Ordo Xenos, the executioners of alien species amongst the galaxy, Ordo Hereticus, witch hunters that deal with internal threats in the Imperium, and Ordo Malleus, the demon hunters emboldened to cast out the entities of hell. And you know what? Let's start with them first. Look, Malleus Inquisitors are all about three things: loving the Emperor, killing demons, and being badass. In fact, let me go find a quote from my archives that perfectly encapsulates this. Let's see, here we go. Demons are lies given form. To cast out the demon, you must only carry the Emperor's truth, for against it, all lies crumble. To help these Inquisitors kill demons, they call upon an elite force of Space Marines called the Grey Knights, who are like Giga Space Marines. Each of the three main Inquisition Ordos can call upon their designated Chamber Militant, basically an Imperial faction that has very similar goals to the Ordos. And like I said, Malleus Inquisitors and Grey Knights have an equal amount of hatred for anything and everything considered slightly demonic. Malleus Inquisitors actually specialize in two main threats: the Demon Without, the slaying of demons that have manifested into the physical universe, and the Demon Within, eliminating Inquisitors who have turned heretical. For example, Torquemada Cortez, a member of Ordo Malleus, was a part of an inquisitorial meeting and watched as Inquisitor Lardian displayed a demon-bound Chaos Crystal, and it explained how they could be used to their advantage to root out Chaos cultists. Torquemada's response? Smash the crystal with a hammer, declare him as a blasphemer, trafficker of abominations, and a witch. He was right, and it was later discovered that Lardian also sanctioned the use of a demon host, which is totally blasphemous, and Torquemada had him executed and shot his ashes into the sun. Now, you'll find that Ordo Malleus and Ordo Hereticus Inquisitors are very similar. They both love killing heretics, but really, Ordos are created as general guidelines, so there's gonna be a lot of overlap. Hereticus Inquisitors swear to root out and expunge any and all heretics, much like Ordo Malleus, albeit with a bit more superstition. Generally, Ordo Hereticus Inquisitors share similar ideals and work alongside the Ecclesiarchy. Their Chamber Militant is the Adeptus Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle, who serve as the Ecclesiarchy's fanatical super soldiers, and together they destroy any and all blasphemous individuals that stray away from the Divine Emperor's path. And some members of the Inquisition take this duty to a ridiculous degree. Fyodor Karamazov, Pyrophant Judge of the Salem Proctor, is a staunch Puritan known for his harsh punishment to any who defect from the Imperial Creed. From his throne of judgment, Fyodor has burnt thousands of suspected heretics to a crisp. The Pyrophant's detractors say that he has slain countless innocents, But to that, the Inquisitor is quoted by saying, "There is no such thing as a plea of innocence in my court. A plea of innocence is guilty of wasting my time. Guilty!" This extremely rigid lack of remorse is a common trait you'll find amongst Ordo Hereticus Inquisitors. Another one of my favorite examples of Hereticus Inquisitors is Tyrus, infamous for his Puritan beliefs. To judge someone to see if they're secretly a heretic, one of his proven methods is to force them to drink a jug of holy water, and if they choke at any point, they are considered a heretic and killed. Speaking of extreme methods, one of the most extreme actions an Inquisitor can conduct is something called Exterminatus. If a powerful Inquisitor dictates that a world is too far gone and wrought with heresy, corruption, or Xenos influence, they can order the entire destruction of the world by the means of a virus, relentless bombing, atomic weaponry, or maybe a mixture of all three. One Inquisitor, infamous for his world-breaking orders, is Emil Darkhammer, who has called for the death of over 30 worlds. Now, obviously, eradicating billions of souls on an entire planet is quite the controversial action to take, and decisions like these further divide the Inquisition with differing viewpoints and certain philosophies. So for Inquisitors you have Ordos, which is the specific threat that an Inquisitor focuses on, but also Inquisitors subscribe to certain philosophies that dictate how they deal with these threats and view the world around them. These can generally be split into two different categories, the Puritans and the Radicals. For Puritans, they are extremely rigid in their worship of the God Emperor, and how anything and everything that is slightly heretical should be destroyed on sight. For Radical Inquisitors, they're a lot more comfortable in bending the rules every so often, maybe using some chaos artifacts here and there, all for the greater good to get the results that they're after. It's just that when dabbling with these artifacts, you kind of run the risk of turning into a heretic yourself. And the role of an Inquisitor is to eliminate all threats to the Imperium. That includes their fellow Inquisitors, so you can see how this self-policing can get really muddy when all of the Inquisitors have their own unique ideals on how they can benefit mankind. Like many facets of the grimdark future of the Imperium, there's a lot of infighting and unproductive violence. There's a lot of philosophies that Inquisitors can subscribe to, but a large majority of them can all agree on one thing. It's critical that we kill every Xenos in the galaxy. Ordo Xenos specializes in the eradication of aliens and citizens of the Imperium that dare mingle with them. They have a tendency to work with Death Watch kill teams, Space Marine teams who consist of soldiers from a bunch of different chapters that specialize in alien annihilation. Inquisitors like Fidus Cryptman have devoted their lives to tracking down and eliminating these alien threats. Fidus was the first human to ever discover the presence of Tyranids. In fact, he was the one to name them Tyranids after they were discovered on the world of Terran. And in order to stop the Hive fleet from devouring all life and growing stronger, Cryptman ordered Exterminatus on every single planet on their way to stop them from consuming just a single morsel of biomass. And, he killed billions upon billions of humans in order to do so. Yeah, it was a controversial move that later branded him as a heretic. There are other radical Inquisitors that also dwell within Ordo Xenos, members like Lord Inquisitor Kyra Draxus, who are considered a heretic for the contact she has with the Eldar, and the use of their shuriken weaponry. And even tamed a Xenos creature. Oh my god, just look at it, it's disgusting. The reasons why Inquisitor Draxus has teamed up with the Eldar is because the Necrons are a common enemy between humanity and Eldar, and by using these alien forbidden tools, Draxus specializes in Necron termination. Eisenhorn is by far one of the most famous Ordo Xenos Inquisitors, despite most of his missions dealing with heretics and chaos influence instead. In his trilogy of books, he disposes of renegade Inquisitors, but over the course of his story, Eisenhorn evolves from being a Puritan Inquisitor to a radical one on a pathway of heresy paved with good intentions. And sure, I could detail his whole story, but really, you should just read his trilogy of books yourself. If you ask many 40k lore nerds, they'll tell you that this is one of the best ways to get into the universe, and you can get the first book as an audiobook for free on Audible by clicking the link down below. So we've covered the three major Ordos in the Inquisition, but there's an endless amount of minor ones that also play a role within the Inquisition and pry into every branch of the Imperium. You have Ordo Astartes, Machinum, Militarum, and Sanctorum, each of which cover the Adeptus Astartes, Mechanicus, Imperial Guard, and Ecclesiarchy, respectively. But two hilarious minor Ordos are Ordo Originatus and Redactus. The former is trying to uncover the history of the founding of the Inquisition, the other is trying to keep the Foundation a secret, and they're constantly feuding with each other at all times. Okay, I think we've covered everything you need to know about the Inquisition, but let's see here, we got oh yeah, there's also Obi-Wan Sherlock Clouseau. Yeah, he's the first Inquisitor ever mentioned in Warhammer lore, all the way back in the first Rogue Trader book. And yeah, I think we've covered everything. Inquisitors in Warhammer 40k really feel like they've been written to be the main characters in the 40k universe. They're a faction that follows the rules of no one in this rigid, feudal government of the Imperium. The rules of the Inquisition really allow them to have their own unique approach to the universe and interact with it in really any way you can think of. They are the ones that can set wars into motion, expunge Chaos Worshippers from worlds, and be a significant driving force within the conflict of the grim darkness of the far future in Warhammer 40k.